Hi friends, happy Wednesday out there. Hope you're having a great day. I'm just coming on to chat a little bit about the evolution of yoga alignment that is happening. I know I just offered a mini training with that title, but it's something that is just out there. We are adapting this modern postural yoga practice because it has always changed. And our idea of alignment is actually kind of a new idea. Physical practice is just one of a buffet of many practices in the yoga tradition, and its roots are actually in spontaneous, free-flowing movement with sound. That's a story for another day. And so it's always been changing, and alignment itself was not always a piece of the puzzle. And what's powerful about embodied yoga practice or any mindful embodied practice is that presence and mindfulness that we call interoception. Interoception is the felt sense under our skin. Proprioception is feeling where we are in space so we can coordinate with the things around us. But interoception is the feeling of self, feeling where you are inside, how you are inside. It includes things like hunger and thirst, and if you have to pee, but it is also the subconscious levels of checking in with how the liver's doing, how's our digestion doing, and our true felt sense under the skin. Where is there pressure? Where is there a feeling of spaciousness or pain or blockage, etc.? And that's really the value of physicality, not only in the yoga practice, but as a way that we're wired to digest life. That is how we are wired as mammals, to move and move things through. In the old days, some of the old days, yoga history is also unfolding some new things as we look deeper into some of the gaps. But in the beginnings of the Hatha Yoga period, which were about 1500 AD, the teaching was done one-to-one, and there were no big teachings on a specific form of a pose. It was kind of described, and the instruction was to go off into a forest and do what had been described but you hadn't really seen. Do it for a month or two and come back and tell your teacher what you learned about yourself. So completely this self-reflective curiosity, feeling into your body experience, which is really the way that yoga and mindful movement of all different kinds has its magic and its potency of healing. It's not really about the forms. And I feel like it's just, yoga has blown up in a lot of ways. I believe in part because we don't culturally, at least in the West and a lot of places in modern day all over the planet, we don't have the normalcy. We haven't made it a regular practice to just have time to be and feel and breathe with how we're doing. It's like so simple, but it's like we're so full, we're so busy that it's not really, part of what we're taught growing up. And so yoga comes to the West, and we'll specify modern postural yoga. And it's like the first place that a lot of people have to really be with themselves. Now, there are lots of other places that we might experience this, like martial arts and dance. Not all kinds of dance. Some of them are very much about the outer performance, but some of them are really about the feeling, right? Where you can be with yourself. But we've assumed that the movement, the forms themselves in modern postural yoga are what's good for us. And that's just an assumption because they're not necessarily. It depends on the person. We're all different. It depends on the day. It depends on the teacher, how they're instructing us. It depends on how often you do the thing. If you do it all the time, 2 hours a day, or if it's like once a month. Right? So there's so many variables on whether the actual movement is good and nutritious for our bodies. When we think it is, like myself for many years, and we start to move that way in the rest of our day, a lot of things can actually be problematic. I remember when I was getting very into alignment for the first time, I was like, oh yeah, this is like how I'm going to be in my posture all the time outside of it. And I wanted to fix some things in my body so badly that I was like in tune with every single step. I had to place my foot in a certain way. What I didn't learn for another decade was that the way I was taught to place my feet in Tadasana is not how we are made to walk. And so when I was walking like that, specifically by landing on the inner edge of my foot instead of the outer edge of my foot, it caused actually a lot more pain to unwind. So hi y'all, it actually is the power of that interoceptive being with yourself experience, which it sounds so trite and simple, but it's just that we're not used to it being encouraged in our culture. So this brings so much to us as far as self-regulation, empathy, truly linked to where we process interoception in the brain and the insular cortex, empathy, compassion, ability to connect with each other because we have empathy and a sense of self. So I believe that the more we can encourage mindful embodied practice, the better off we're all going to be. And in modern postural yoga, a lot of us find those things, and then we assume all of those benefits about the forms, and we get really tied and married to the forms, and then we start to find body breakdown and other issues. So how can we tweak the modern postural yoga with all those benefits intact so that our body also gets more benefits? Because mindful embodied practice can also be medicine as movement nutrition for life. We're all sitting too much. We're probably not moving too much. What parts of our body need to move in what different ways? We can do that. We can make them the same thing because it's a truly important resource for our nervous system to digest life. And we're having to digest so much more than we ever have. I mean, even with what's going on now in the world, I know so many people with personal crises happening. We have to let that stuff move through us, right, to keep going. In fact, in every single research study on yoga having benefits, now we're talking like back pain, de-stress, depression, so some mental health things, some body pain things, there were 4 ingredients to a physical yoga practice that brought forth statistically significant positive results. None of them had to do with the poses. They were mindfulness, movement, breath awareness, and relaxation. So I call them the magic 4 because those ingredients can look so many different ways, right? They can look like really being in meditation with running. They can look like being in yoga nidra and scanning your body. So being in touch with our body is the way we're wired as human animals, mammals, social creatures to process life without, we don't really have to, go onto the psychiatrist's couch and go into just the monkey mind about processing. It's in our body, mind, in our nervous system. And I believe we really are seeing this evolution of yoga alignment and additions to the practice with really great innovators out there using props and information from strength training and PT and all of these other things so that we can keep it going, so that we don't break down, because we need the somatic approach to any type of movement. And we need that right now because it actually helps us engage with earth resources, our relationships, our energy with, and I don't mean that on a woo level, right? But like truly our energy consumption and our energy use and what we give back, and it becomes more tangible. As an ecologist in my background, like I feel like that's something we all need to figure out. We all need to learn, right? So why not have movement practice that's the nutrition you need, like the gaps in your hip movement, mobility, in your spine, in your posture. That's also the somatic, interoceptive, meditative benefit for our nervous system to process this. And I feel like yoga is the place for that. And that's why we're seeing all of these shifts of like, oh, those little lunges that go off to the side. And we all love Wild Thing, because doesn't that back bend feel so much better than a symmetrical back bend? Oh, maybe that's how we're made, right? So this is really my mission, as some of you know, is to teach how to adapt embodied yoga practices, really small tweaks, so that they're better movement medicine, movement nutrition for all, but stay really rooted to the source and to source texts. And actually in a lot of these source texts, there's so much more freedom and so much of this reverence for the life that lives through us, right? So I hope that inspires you and gives you some permission to make your practice, really feed you. If you're interested, tomorrow I'm offering a free class, the link is in my bio and all the stuff, on how to adjust some really basic stuff. And I would love to see you there. And I'm not the only person doing this. We are in evolution. Everything's always in an evolution. And adapting to change is the name of the game. So hope to be of support to those who need it, and take on some permission and enjoy your day.